Chapter 25. Today, Mr. Casely's classroom is quiet, tense. Nobody jokes or goofs around. When the bell rings, we're all sitting, just waiting. Heather's in her seat, but no Imani. I bite my bottom lip. No Imani. Mr. Casely is wearing a sharply creased white shirt, a red velvet vest, and maroon slacks. He looks stupendous, to use one of his words. So, he begins, let's talk about what happened on Thursday. I bug-eye Heather. He's really going to go there. Everybody looks down at the floor. He waits and waits until I can't stand it, and I raise my hand. Yes, Isabella? I don't understand why anybody would do that, I admit. Manuel raises his hand next. It makes me afraid. Me too, Rochelle calls out from the other side of the room. Mr. K nods. What do you think chases away fear? A gun? Heather offers. Everybody whips around to look at her. No, Mr. K says emphatically. Guns only create more problems. Then he looks thoughtful and asks, is it possible the person who left the noose might be right? What did he just say? I think. Jonte half rises from his seat, scowling. Huh? How you figure? The teacher continues. In order to diffuse a bad situation, sometimes it's necessary to look at both sides of the problem. But aren't they racists? The people who do stuff like this? Asks Otis, looking incredulous. I suppose we have to figure out the definition of racist first, Mr. Casely says. It's somebody who hates black people, Otis shouts out. Yeah, Jonte echoes. Only black people? Mr. K prompts. Jonte's now standing all the way up. All haters. The teacher pauses, then smiles. You see what just happened, he asked us. In just a 30-second discussion, look how easy it is to jump to anger and assumptions. Now let's take our time and dig in a little bit deeper. I watch anxiously. Talking about nooses and hatred and stuff is like swimming in the deep end of the pool, and I'm not a very good swimmer. Going by the look of other kids' faces, they aren't either. Something clatters near my feet. Logan, who sits right next to me, Heather is totally jealous, her seat's all the way at the back, dropped his pencil. I reach over and pick it up, but as I hand it back to him, I see scribbles on a sheet of notebook paper on his desk, skulls and bones and guns all over it. His art is actually good. Clearly, he's got mad drawing skills, but his sketches are sort of, well, grim. He looks up, sees the look on my face, and smirks. I look away. He raises his hand. Mr. K runs a hand through his hair. Yes, Logan. I kind of got a question. Since most bananas are yellow, what if a person doesn't like green bananas? Does that make him a banana racist? None of us are bananas, Rochelle argues. This is about people. She gives me courage to speak out, so I raise my hand. When the teacher nods my way, I blurt out. I don't want to sound like a Hallmark card or anything, but I think the only thing that gets rid of hate is love. Mr. Casely's nodding like crazy now. Nobody else in the class seems to be smiling, however. Kids are ticked off. I'm starting to feel really stupid, like I've just said something that's the cheesiest thing ever. Go ahead, explain, Isabella, Mr. K encourages. I take a deep breath. Well, it's easy to be mean and hateful. I've heard my parents say horrible stuff to each other. I pause. It's like the whole class is breathing with me. But it's hard to be nice. It's something really, really hard. But I think we ought to figure out how to turn this around so nobody else gets hurt. I close my eyes fast. I can't believe I told my personal mess to this whole class. That noose was a sign of hate, Manuel says. Yeah, white people do that kind of stuff all the time, Jonte shouts. At this, Mr. Casely jumps in. Now his voice is loud, even angry. I press back into my chair. Now, Jonte, we will not have that kind of discussion, he says. We're working on solutions, not adding more to the problem. Heather stands up. I'm white. Imani's one of my best friends, and she's black. But I'm scared too, and... Yes, Heather, Mr. K encourages her. Heather takes a deep breath. Okay, this might sound weird, but I feel guilty, like it's my fault, because it was probably somebody white who put the noose in her locker. For sure it was, Jonte says, totally throwing shade. Heather sits down, covers her face, and begins to cry. I know I should go to her desk and comfort her, but I don't. I'm a wimp. If I spoke up right now, would I speak up for the white kids or the black kids? Or both? Or neither? I honestly don't know. I scrunch down in my seat. I'm feeling almost ashamed of myself. Kids around me start mumbling, grumbling. I can't believe they haven't caught who did it. I'm going to watch my back. They're going to get you. I'm wondering who they are when, to my surprise, a soft-spoken white girl named Tiffany raises her hand. Maybe we should think about signs of love instead, she says hesitantly. Mr. Casely claps his hands. Wonderful idea, Tiffany. And then he asks the class, how do you think we can make this happen? What's the opposite of a noose, Toby asks. A Valentine heart, Tiffany offers more confidently now. Mr. Casely beams. Logan groans. That's so second grade. Nah, says Tiffany. I think we ought to plaster the school with hearts. If Mr. Casely could be more into Tiffany's idea, then gag me. Nobody speaks for just a click, then everybody seems to jump in. Heather lifts her head. Her face is splotchy, but she says, you know, she might just be right. Every time someone sees a heart, they'll remember what happened to Imani. That can't be bad. And you know what? I agree. Heather's eyes crinkle into a smile as she gives me a for real, good friend's look. We need a bunch of hearts to show Imani, another girl suggests. We need to send them to her. Can we do this in class today? Someone else asks. Instead of vocab, a boy named Kevin says hopefully, and everybody laughs. Absolutely. Boy, does Mr. K sound relieved.